Elena Martinez stood in the center of the huge meeting room. The walls were made of glass that showed the stars outside. Around her sat creatures from 47 different worlds. Some looked like giant lizards. Others were tall and thin like crystal statues. A few had too many eyes or arms that bent in strange ways. Elena was the only human in the room. She wore her best blue uniform, with Earth's flag on her shoulder. Her hands stayed calm even though her heart was beating fast. She had been Earth's voice to the galaxy for 10 years. Today felt different. Today felt dangerous. The leader of the meeting was called Vex Star. He looked like a huge lizard that walked on 2 legs. His skin was dark green, and his eyes were yellow. When he spoke, his voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Humans have 30 days, Vex-Star said. His long claws tapped on the metal table. All human children must leave the space colonies. They must go back to Earth. They cannot live on other worlds anymore." Elena felt her stomach drop. There were thousands of human children living on space stations and colony worlds. Some had been born there. It was the only home they knew. Why? Elena asked. "Our children have done nothing wrong." A tall crystal being named Zethra spoke next. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. "The children are dangerous. They must stay on Earth where they belong." "Dangerous how?" Elena pressed. "They are just children. They go to school, play games, help their families. How can children be dangerous?" The alien beings looked at each other. Elena noticed they seemed scared. But scared of what? Human children were the most harmless things in the galaxy. Vex-Star's yellow eyes stared at Elena. "If humans do not obey, we will cut all ties with Earth. No more trade, no more protection. Your people will be alone in the dark." Elena's wrist device buzzed. A message from Admiral Kate Sullivan back on Earth appeared. "The military leaders all agree we do not abandon our children. Get ready for trouble." Far away from the meeting, Captain Jake Morrison sat on his ship called the New Horizon. He was looking at a picture of his daughter Lucy. She was 10 years old, with bright red hair and green eyes. She loved to draw pictures of the stars and ask questions about everything. Lucy had been born on the ship while they were exploring new worlds. She had never seen Earth except in pictures. The ship was her home. The crew was her family. Jake's first officer, Commander Amy Foster, came to see him. She looked worried. "Captain, we just got the news from the council meeting. They want all the children sent back to Earth." "That's impossible," Jake said. "We're 3 months away from the nearest Earth ship. And Lucy... this is her home." Amy nodded. "What do we do?" Jake looked at Lucy's picture again. "We protect our children. That's what we do." On the mining station near Jupiter, 8-year-old Ben Carter was working on a puzzle. It was supposed to be for adults, but Ben had finished it in 10 minutes. His mother, Dr. Lisa Carter, watched him with pride and worry. "Ben," she said, "how did you solve that so fast?" Ben shrugged. "I just see how the pieces fit together. It's like they tell me where to go." Lisa felt a chill. Ben had always been smart, but lately he seemed to understand things that took her years to learn. The other children on the station were the same way. They learned faster than seemed possible. On the colony world of New Texas, 12-year-old Sophie Grant was having strange dreams again. She dreamed of huge machines sleeping between the stars. She dreamed of voices speaking in languages she had never heard, but somehow understood. In her dreams, she saw the history of the galaxy. She saw great civilizations that had risen and fallen. She saw something important that the adults could not see. Sophie woke up crying. She did not know why the dreams made her sad, but she knew they were important. She knew time was running out. Back in the council chamber, Elena tried one more time. "Please, tell us what we have done wrong." Help us understand. Vexstar stood. Up. He was very tall, and his shadow fell across Elena. Your children are becoming something they should not become. We have seen this before. It did not end well. What do you mean? Elena asked. 30 days, Vexstar said. That is final. The meeting ended. Elena walked to her ship feeling lost. She had represented Earth for 10 years, but she had never felt this helpless dot as her ship flew back toward Earth. Elena looked at the reports from the colonies. Every human settlement had children. Children who had been born in space or raised among the stars. Children who had never known Earth as home. She thought about Lucy Morrison on the New Horizon, about Ben Carter on the Jupiter station, about Sophie Grant on New Texas, about thousands of other children who were about to lose their homes because of some threat the Council would not explain. Elena made a decision. She opened a communication channel to Earth. Admiral Sullivan. This is Ambassador Martinez. Tell the President we need to talk. We're not giving up our children without a fight. The signal traveled through space toward Earth. Soon, the most powerful humans in the galaxy would have to choose between peace with the aliens and protecting their children. Elena knew what choice they would make. Humans always protected their children, no matter the cost. The countdown had begun. 30 days to change everything or lose everything. Dot in the distance. Alien warships began to move toward human space. Dr. Ryan Phillips stared at the computer screen in his lab. The numbers made no sense. They had to be wrong. But he had checked them 50 times, and they were always the same. The lab was on a space station that went around the star Proxima Centauri. Ryan had been studying the human children who lived in space for 6 months. What he found scared him. Computer, show me the brain scans of the children aged 5 to 16. He said. The air above his desk filled with colorful pictures of human brains. But these were not normal brains. The children's brains were changing in ways that should not be possible. Ryan had studied the human brain for 20 years. He knew how it worked. But these children's brains were growing new parts. Parts that did not exist in normal humans. Commander Amy Foster walked into the lab. She had been Ryan's friend since they were both students on Earth. Now she helped run the space station. Ryan, you look terrible, Amy said. Have you been sleeping? Look at this, Ryan said, pointing to the brain scans. The children who were born in space or who have lived here for more than 2 years, their brains are different. Amy looked at the colorful pictures floating in the air. Different how? They're growing new neural pathways, new connections. It's like their brains are becoming more than human. Ryan pressed a button and the pictures changed. Yesterday, 8-year-old Ben Carter solved a math problem that our best scientists could not figure out. He did it in 10 minutes. Maybe he's just very smart, Amy suggested. It's not just intelligence, Ryan said. Watch this. He showed Amy a video of 12-year-old Emma Thompson. She was standing in a room with her eyes closed. Around her were floating metal balls that moved in complex patterns. She's not touching them, Ryan said. She's not using any machine. She's moving them with her mind. Amy's mouth fell open. That's impossible. I thought so too. But I've tested it 50 different ways. The spaceborne children can do things that normal humans cannot do. On the mining station near Jupiter, Dr. Lisa Carter was having her own strange experiences with her son, Ben. The 8-year-old had just finished reading a book about advanced physics, a book that college students found difficult. Ben, Lisa said, do you really understand what you just read? Ben looked up from the book. His eyes seemed older than his 8 years. Yes, Mom. It's about how space and time are connected. It's actually pretty simple once you see the pattern. Lisa felt a chill. What pattern? Everything is connected, Ben said. The stars, the planets, the empty space between them. It's all part of one big pattern. The grown-ups can't see it because they think too hard, but we can see it. We? The other kids. Sophie on New Texas sees it too. So does Lucy on the New Horizon. We all see it. Lisa's hands started to shake. Ben, how do you know about Sophie and Lucy? Ben smiled. We talk to each other, not with words, with the pattern. On the colony world of New Texas, Sophie Grant was sitting in her room drawing pictures. But these were not normal drawings. She was drawing star maps that showed things no human had ever seen. Her mother, Sarah Grant, looked at the drawings. Sophie, where did you learn about these star systems? From the dreams, Sophie said. The old ones show me things. They want us to remember. The old ones? Sophie's eyes got distant. The people who lived here before any of the alien races. They were like us, but they became more. They're still here, but sleeping. Sarah felt scared. Sleeping where? Between the stars. In the spaces that look empty, but aren't. They're waiting for someone like them to wake up. On the exploration ship New Horizon, 10-year-old Lucy Morrison was teaching herself languages she had never heard before. Her father, Captain Jake Morrison, found her speaking in strange words. Lucy, what language is that? Jake asked. It's the old language, Lucy said, the one the sleeping people used. Emma taught it to me. Emma? Emma Thompson? But she's on a ship months away from here. Lucy smiled. Distance doesn't matter when you use the pattern, Dad. We can all talk to each other through the pattern. Jake sat down heavily. Lucy, I need you to explain this to me. What pattern? Lucy took her father's hand. Close your eyes, Dad. Try to feel it. Jake closed his eyes. For a moment, he felt something. A vast web of connections that linked every star, every planet, every living thing. But then it was gone. I can't hold it, Jake said. That's okay, Lucy said. The grown-ups usually can't. But we can teach you. Back on the research station, Doctor. Ryan Phillips was making more discoveries. The children were not just getting smarter. They were developing abilities that seemed impossible. Amy, look at this, Ryan said, showing her a new test result. The children can sense things that are happening light years away. They know things they should not know. How is that possible? Amy asked. I think they're tapping into something that exists throughout the galaxy. Some kind of field or network that connects everything. Amy looked at the data. The aliens must know about this. That's why they want the children sent back to Earth. But why Earth? Why not just leave them alone? Maybe Earth's magnetic field blocks whatever is causing the changes. Maybe the aliens think the children will be normal if they go back to Earth. Ryan shook his head. Amy, I don't think these children can ever be normal again. They've changed too much. And I think they're still changing. On the space station orbiting Wolf 359, Dr. Rachel Kim was studying quantum energy readings. She had detected strange patterns coming from wherever human children lived in space. The patterns were old, older than human civilization, older than most of the alien races. Computer, compare these patterns to the galactic database. Rachel said. The computer searched for several minutes. Finally, it spoke. Patterns match historical records from the predecessor civilization. Warning, these records are classified at the highest level. Rachel's heart stopped. The predecessors were a myth. A story about an ancient race that had ruled the galaxy 50,000 years ago. No one talked about them anymore. Computer, what happened to the predecessors? Records indicate they disappeared suddenly. No bodies found. No ships abandoned. They simply vanished. Rachel looked at the energy readings again. The human children were somehow connected to the predecessors. But what did that mean? Across the galaxy, the space-born human children were changing. They were becoming something new. Something that scared the aliens enough to threaten war. But the children were not scared. They were excited. They could feel themselves becoming part of something vast and wonderful, something that had been waiting for them for 50,000 years. The question was, would the adults let them finish becoming what they were meant to be? Or would fear destroy humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy? Time was running out. The alien fleets were moving, and the children were still changing. Deep inside the Galactic Council's main building, in a room that most aliens had forgotten existed, Counselor Vexstar opened files that had been locked away for thousands of years. His claws shook as he touched the controls. The room was dark, except for the glow of ancient computers. Counselor Zethra stood beside him, her crystal body reflecting the light in strange patterns. Both aliens looked afraid. "The predecessor archives," Vexstar whispered. "We swore we would never open these." "Again, but we must," Zethra said. "The human children are showing the same signs. We cannot ignore this." Vexstar pressed his claw on the final lock. The computer came to life, filling the room with images and data from 50,000 years ago. The records of the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever known. The predecessors had been tall, graceful beings who looked almost human. They had ruled the galaxy with wisdom and kindness. Every race had respected them. Every world had been at peace under their guidance. "Look at this," Zethra said, pointing to a section of the records. "Their children. See how they developed." The files showed young predecessors growing and learning. At first, they seemed normal, but as they grew older, they began to change. Their brains developed new abilities. They could think faster than computers. They could sense things across vast distances. They could manipulate energy with their minds. The cognitive cascade, Vexstar read from the ancient text. Each generation more advanced than the last. Each generation closer to transcendence. Transcendence, Zethra repeated. They became so advanced that they left physical reality behind. The records showed the final years of the predecessor civilization. Their children had become beings of pure thought and energy. They no longer needed bodies or ships or cities. They existed as part of the galaxy itself. And then, Vexstar asked, though he already knew the answer. "They vanished," Zethra said. "They became so advanced that they no longer existed in our reality. They left behind empty worlds and abandoned cities. An entire civilization gone in a single generation." Vexstar brought up another file. The warning they left behind. The message they recorded before they disappeared. The hologram showed a tall, wise-looking predecessor. She spoke in the ancient galactic language. "To those who come after us, beware. The path to transcendence is irreversible. Once begun, it cannot be stopped." We tried to slow it down, but the children always moved forward. They pulled us along with them into something beyond physical existence. "We built the council to prevent this from happening again," the predecessor continued. "Watch for the signs. Children who develop beyond normal limits. Children who can sense the quantum field. Children who begin to merge their consciousness with the cosmic background. Stop them before they reach the point of no return." The hologram faded. Vexstar and Zethra sat in silence, remembering the last time they had seen these records. "They Zephyrians," Zethra said quietly. 3,000 years ago. "We were too late with them," Vexstar replied. "By the time we realized what was happening, their children had already begun the cascade. We had to destroy their entire civilization to stop it. 1 billion lives," Zethra said. "But it was necessary. If we had not acted, they would have transcended and taken the galaxy with them. And now the humans," Vexstar said. "Their children are showing the same patterns. The same development. The same connection to the quantum field." On Earth, President Lisa Thompson sat in her office, reading classified reports. The information came from every human colony in space. The pattern was clear and terrifying. "General Paul Martinez," she said to her military advisor, "explain to me what our scientists are discovering." Paul Martinez was Elena's brother. He had been a soldier for 30 years, but he had never seen anything like this. "Madam President, our children in space are developing abilities that defy explanation. They can communicate across impossible distances. They can manipulate matter with their thoughts. They can predict events before they happen. How many children are affected?" "Every human child who has lived in space for more than 2 years. We're talking about nearly 50,000 children across all our colonies." Lisa felt sick. "And the aliens?" "Our intelligence suggests they've dealt with this before. Other species whose children developed similar abilities. The aliens destroyed those civilizations completely." "Destroyed them? Why?" Paul brought up a holographic display. "We've managed to access some of the Council's historical databases. There was a species called the predecessors who ruled the galaxy long ago. Their children developed transcendent abilities and then vanished, taking their entire civilization with them." Lisa studied the data. "The aliens are afraid our children will do the same thing. More than that," Paul said. "They're afraid our children will succeed where the predecessors failed. They're afraid humanity will transcend but remain in this reality, potentially taking over the galaxy." Meanwhile, on the colony ship Mayflower, Commander Alex Thompson was dealing with his own crisis. His 12-year-old daughter, Emma, had gathered all the children on the ship for a meeting. When Alex arrived, he found them sitting in a circle, their eyes closed, all humming the same melody. "Emma," Alex said, "what's going on?" Emma opened her eyes and smiled. "We're talking to our friends, Dad, the ones on other ships and colonies. We're sharing what we've learned." "What have you learned?" "That we're not the first," Emma said. "There were others like us long ago. They tried to hide from what they were becoming, but they couldn't, so they left." "Left where?" "Into the spaces between spaces. Into the quantum field that connects everything. They're still there, Dad, waiting for us to join them." Alex felt a chill. "Emma, you're scaring me." "Don't be scared," Emma said. "We're not going to abandon you like the others did. We're going to bring you with us." On the research station, Dr. Ryan Phillips was making a discovery that changed everything. The quantum resonance patterns he had detected were not random. They were signals. "Amy," he called to his friend, "I think I've been wrong about everything." Amy came running. "What do you mean?" "The children aren't developing new abilities," Ryan said. "They're remembering old ones. The quantum field they're connecting to isn't empty. It's full of consciousness. The consciousness of the predecessors." "That's impossible, is it? What if the predecessors didn't vanish? What if they became part of the quantum field itself? What if they've been waiting for the next species to evolve enough to join them?" Amy looked at the data. "And our children are that species?" "Not just our children," Ryan said. "All of us. The children are just the first to make the connection. But they're trying to bring us along." On the mining station near Jupiter, young Ben Carter was having a conversation with his mother that would change both their lives. "Mom," Ben said, "I need to tell you something important. The sleeping people are waking up." "Ben, you're scaring me with this sleeping people talk." "They're not really sleeping," Ben explained. "They're just existing in a different way, between the atoms, in the spaces that look empty but aren't." Lisa Carter knelt down to look her son in the eyes. "Ben, who are these people?" "The ones who came before. The ones who made the same choice we're making now. They want to help us, but they're scared." "Scared? Of what?" "Of what the Council will do if they find out. The Council has destroyed others like us. They're afraid of what we might become." Lisa felt her world changing. "What will you become?" Ben smiled. More than we are now, but still us. The sleeping people made a mistake. They left their families behind. We won't make that mistake. What do you mean? We're going to become more, but we're going to stay with you. All of us together, the adults and the children. One family reaching for the stars. The 30-day countdown continued. The alien fleets moved closer to human space. And the children kept changing, kept growing, kept connecting to something vast and ancient and wonderful. But now the adults were beginning to understand. The choice wasn't between their children and their safety. The choice was between fear and transcendence. The question was, would they choose to trust their children, or would they choose to fight a war they could not win? Time was running out for humanity to decide what kind of future they wanted. The USS Defiance floated in the darkness between Earth and the approaching alien fleet. Captain Derek Stone stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display as hundreds of enemy ships moved toward the solar system. Each ship was bigger than anything humanity had ever built. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Helen Park, "the alien fleet is asking us to surrender. They want all our children sent to Earth immediately." Derek's jaw was tight. "And where are our children?" "Now, scattered across 17 colonies and space stations. Admiral Sullivan says it would take 6 months to move them all safely." 6 months, Derek repeated. "And they're giving us 6 hours." On the giant screen, the alien fleet looked like a cloud of metal death moving toward Earth. Derek had been a soldier for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like this. The Council had brought ships from every member species. This was not a police action. This was an invasion. "Captain," Helen said quietly, "we have 43 ships in the solar system. They have over 800. Derek nodded. The math was simple. Humanity would lose this fight. But sometimes you had to fight anyway. Send a message to all human. "Vessels," Derek ordered. "We stand together. We protect our children, no matter what." Far from the battle, the colony ship Mayflower drifted in empty space between the stars. Commander Alex Thompson faced an impossible choice. His ship carried 3,000 colonists, including 800 children, to build a new world in the Andromeda Galaxy. They were still months away from their destination. The Council's ultimatum did not include exceptions for ships already traveling between stars. Alex was supposed to turn around and bring the children back to Earth, but that would mean abandoning their new home and the future they had planned. "Dad," his daughter Emma came to him on the bridge. At 12 years old, she already showed the enhanced abilities that scared the aliens. "I've been looking at the star charts. There's something you need to see." Emma had been born on the Mayflower. Space was her home. She had never breathed real air or felt real gravity. She was one of the new generation of humans who belonged to the stars. "What did you find?" Alex asked. Emma called up a holographic display of the galaxy, but it was not like any star chart Alex had ever seen. This one showed patterns of energy connecting every star, every planet, every point of light. "The galaxy is alive," Emma said simply. "It's all connected by fields of energy that most people can't see, but we can see them. All of us spaceborne children." Alex stared at the display. "Emma, how do you know this?" "The same way I know what Sophie is thinking on New Texas, or what Ben is doing on the Jupiter station. We're all connected now, all the children. And we're connected to something much older. The predecessors?" Emma nodded. "They never really left. They became part of the connection, part of the energy field that holds the galaxy together. They've been waiting for someone like us to join them." Alex felt a chill. "Emma, you're talking about leaving your body behind. About dying." "Not dying," Emma said. "Becoming more." "But Dad, we're not going to abandon you like they did." "We're going to. Bring everyone with us. adults and children together. On the research station, orbiting Wolf 359, Dr. Rachel Kim was making discoveries that changed everything she thought she knew about the universe. The quantum resonance patterns she had detected were not random energy. They were thoughts. Vast, ancient thoughts that permeated the galaxy. "Computer," she said, "analyze the consciousness patterns in the quantum field." The computer worked for several minutes before responding. Analysis indicates the presence of approximately 12 billion individual consciousness patterns integrated into the galactic quantum field. Age of integration, approximately 50,000 years. Rachel's hands shook. 12 billion. That's the entire population of the predecessor civilization. The computer continued. Additional analysis indicates recent integration of smaller consciousness groups. Age of integration, approximately 3,000 years, 700 years, and 43 years. The other species, Rachel whispered. The ones the Council destroyed. They didn't die. They transcended. She understood now why the Council was so afraid. Every species that had developed transcendent abilities had not been destroyed. They had been forced to abandon their physical existence and join the quantum field. They were still alive, but no longer part of the physical galaxy. Computer, are there any signs of recent consciousness integration attempts? Affirmative. Widespread. Consciousness integration attempts detected among human children in space-based habitats. Integration appears to be voluntary and controlled, unlike previous species. Rachel felt her heart racing. The human children were not just developing abilities. They were preparing to join the quantum field. But unlike the other species, they were trying to bring their families with them. On the mining station near Jupiter, 8-year-old Ben Carter was teaching his mother things that no human had ever known. "Mom," Ben said, "I need to show you something. Close your eyes and hold my hand." Dr. Lisa Carter was scared, but she trusted her son. She closed her eyes and felt Ben's small hand in hers. Suddenly, the universe exploded around her. She could see the energy patterns that connected every star. She could feel the thoughts of the ancient beings who had become part of the galaxy itself. She could sense her son's consciousness expanding beyond his small body. "Ben," she gasped, opening her eyes. "It's okay, Mom," Ben said calmly. "I'm still here. I'm just more than I was before." Lisa looked at her son. He looked the same, but she could feel something different about him. He was still her little boy, but he was also something vast and wonderful. "The others are scared," Ben said. "The Council thinks we're going to leave like the previous species did, but we're not. We're going to stay and help everyone become more." "How?" "By showing them that becoming more doesn't mean losing what we are. It means becoming the best version of ourselves." Back near Earth, the alien fleet had stopped advancing. Captain Derek Stone watched in amazement as the enemy ships held their position just outside the solar system. "Sir," Lieutenant Helen Park reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the Council flagship. They want to talk." When Counselor Vextar appeared on the screen, Derek was surprised to see that the alien leader looked tired and scared. "Human Captain," Vextar said, "we offer you one final chance. Send your children to Earth, and we will leave in peace." "And if we refuse?" Derek asked. "Then we will do what we have done before. We will destroy your civilization to prevent the transcendence." Derek felt anger rising in his chest. "You're talking about murdering children." "We are talking about saving the galaxy," Vextar replied. "Your children are connecting to the quantum field. Soon they will transcend physical reality and disappear like the others. We cannot allow this. What if they don't disappear?" Derek asked, "What if they stay and help us become better?" Vextar's eyes widened. "That is impossible. Transcendence always leads to abandonment. The transcended always leave the physical realm behind. Maybe, Derek said, but maybe our children are different. Maybe they found a way to transcend without abandoning their families. Before Vextar could respond, something amazing happened. The space around both fleets began to shimmer and glow. Energy patterns became visible, connecting every ship, every star, every living being in the area dot, and in that energy field, the human children began to appear. Not their physical bodies, but their consciousness. They were still on their ships and stations, but they were also present in the quantum field itself. "Hello," said a voice that came from everywhere and nowhere. It was Emma Thompson, speaking from the Mayflower months away. "Hello, Counselor Vextar. We need to talk." The alien leader stared in shock as more children appeared in the energy field. Ben Carter from Jupiter, Sophie Grant from New Texas, Lucy Morrison from the New Horizon, hundreds of others from across human space. "You're transcending," Vextar whispered. "Just like the others." "No," Emma said gently. "We're not transcending. We're expanding. We're becoming more than we were, but we're not leaving our families behind." "That's impossible," Vextar said. "Transcendence requires abandoning physical reality. Only if you think physical reality is separate from consciousness." Ben Carter's voice joined the conversation. "But they're not separate. They're all part of the same thing." Sophie Grant's voice came next. "The sleeping people made a mistake. They thought they had to choose between their old selves and their new selves. But you don't have to choose. You can be both." The energy field grew brighter, and in it, Derek Stone could see the consciousness of the predecessors. 12 billion ancient beings who had been waiting 50,000 years for someone to show them how to come home. "We never wanted to leave," spoke a voice older than human civilization. "We thought transcendence meant abandoning our loved ones, but these children are showing us a different way." The alien fleet began to back away in fear. But the human children's voices called out to them, "Don't be afraid. We're not going to hurt you. We're going to help everyone become more, together." The battle lines were drawn. But the war was not between ships and weapons. It was between fear and hope. Between the old way of thinking and a new way of being. And the children were going to teach the galaxy which way was better. The song began on the moon. 8-year-old Tyler Brooks was sitting in the observation dome of Luna Colony, looking at the stars when he started to hum. The melody seemed to come from the universe itself, flowing through him like water through a stream. Within minutes, other children on the moon joined in, then children on Mars, then the Jupiter stations, then the outer colonies. Soon, every human child in space was humming the same beautiful tune. The song was not made of words. It was made of understanding, of connection, of love that stretched. Across the galaxy, Captain Derek Stone stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching his instruments go wild. The alien fleet, which had been preparing to attack, suddenly stopped moving. Their weapons powered down. Their ships began to drift peacefully in space. "Sir," Lieutenant Helen Park said, her voice filled with wonder, "the aliens are asking permission to come aboard." Derek could hardly believe it. "Permission to come aboard? They have 800 ships, and we have 43. Why are they asking permission?" "I don't know, sir. But they seem different." When Counselor Vextar appeared on the transporter pad, Derek was shocked by the change in the alien leader. The fear and anger were gone from his yellow eyes. Instead, he looked peaceful and amazed. "Captain," Vextar said, "the children. They are awakening something that has been sleeping for 50,000 years." "What do you mean?" "The predecessors. They are not gone. They have been waiting in the quantum field for someone to show them how to return. Your children are teaching them." Derek felt his heart racing. Teaching them what? "That transcendence does not require abandonment. That consciousness can expand without leaving the physical realm behind. That families can stay together even as they become more than they were. On the colony ship Mayflower, Emma Thompson stood with her fellow spaceborne children in the main meeting hall. Their minds were linked in ways that no adult could fully understand. They could see the vast network of consciousness that connected every star, every planet, every living being in the galaxy. "We can feel them waking up," Emma said to her father, Commander Alex Thompson. "The old ones. They've been sleeping in the spaces between atoms, waiting for someone to show them the way home." Alex looked at his daughter with amazement and fear. "Emma, what's happening to you? To all of you?" "We're becoming what we were always meant to be," Emma replied. "But we're not leaving you behind. That's what makes us different from those who came before." The children on the Mayflower began to glow with a soft, warm light, but they were still physical, still present. Still his daughter and the other children he had watched grow up on the long journey between stars. On the research station, Dr. Ryan Phillips was watching readings that defied everything he knew about science. The quantum field around every human settlement was becoming active in ways that had not been seen for 50,000 years. "Amy," he called to his friend, "the children aren't just connecting to the predecessors. They're bringing them back." Commander Amy Foster looked at the data flowing across the screens. Back from where? From the quantum field. The predecessors didn't die or disappear. They became part of the energy that holds the galaxy together. But they've been lonely. They've been waiting for someone to join them without abandoning the physical world. And our children figured out how to do that? More than that, Ryan said, his voice filled with wonder. They're teaching the predecessors how to return, how to have both expanded consciousness and physical form. On the mining station near Jupiter, Ben Carter was holding his mother's hand and showing her wonders beyond imagination. "Mom," he said, "do you want to meet them? The sleeping people?" Dr. Lisa Carter felt her son's consciousness expand to include her. Suddenly, she was not just in the mining station. She was everywhere at once. She could feel the thoughts of beings who had lived 50,000 years ago. Ancient, wise, and incredibly lonely. "Hello," came a voice older than human civilization. "We are the ones you call predecessors. We have been waiting so long for someone to show us the way back to our families." "You had families?" Lisa asked. "We had everything," the voice replied sadly. "Children, parents, friends, lovers. But when we transcended, we thought we had to leave them all behind. We thought that was the price of becoming more. But you didn't have to," Lisa realized. "No. Your children are showing us that consciousness can expand without abandoning love. That transcendence can include rather than exclude. That families can become more together." Back in space, the alien fleet was backing away from Earth, but not in retreat. They were making room for something wonderful, the quantum field around. The solar system began to shimmer and dance. Ancient machines that had been dormant for 50,000 years began to wake up. Vast structures that existed in the spaces between atoms started to become visible. "What's happening?" Admiral Kate Sullivan asked from her command ship near Earth. Dr. Rachel Kim, who had been brought to the flagship to explain her discoveries, looked at the readings with tears in her eyes. "The galaxy is remembering what it used to be. Before fear. Before the Council decided that transcendence was dangerous. And what was it? A place where every species could grow and evolve and become more than they were, without losing what made them special. A place where consciousness and matter danced together instead of fighting each other. On New Texas colony, Sophie Grant was no longer having nightmares. Instead, she was having the most beautiful dreams of her life. She dreamed of vast gardens of consciousness blooming between the stars, tended by beings who remembered what it meant to be both human and more than human. The sleeping people are waking up, she told her mother, Sarah Grant, and they're so happy. They've been alone for so long. Alone? They transcended, but they lost their families. They became part of the galaxy, but they forgot how to touch and hug and laugh together. We're teaching them how to do both. The changes were happening everywhere now. On every human settlement, children were glowing with gentle light while remaining perfectly physical. Adults were finding their own consciousness expanding, but slowly, safely, guided by their children. And throughout the galaxy, ancient beings were returning from the quantum field, learning how to be both transcendent and present. Counselor Vex Star stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the transformation with wonder. In 50,000 years, he said to Captain Derek Stone, we have destroyed 7 civilizations to prevent this. We thought transcendence always led to abandonment. And now? Derek asked. Now we see that we were wrong. Fear made us wrong. Your children are showing us that love is stronger than transcendence, that families can grow together instead of growing apart. The song continued to spread across the galaxy. The human children were teaching the universe a new melody, a song of connection instead of separation, of inclusion instead of abandonment, of love that could expand to fill the stars without losing the warmth of a parent's hug. President Lessa Thompson sat in the Oval Office on Earth, reading reports that sounded like science fiction. Human colonies throughout space were glowing with harmless energy. Children were demonstrating abilities that seemed magical. Ancient alien civilizations were returning from states of pure consciousness. General Martinez, she said to her advisor, what do our scientists think is happening? Madam President, Paul Martinez replied, our children are healing the galaxy. 50,000 years ago, the Council made a choice based on fear. They decided that transcendence was dangerous because it led to abandonment. So whenever a species began to evolve beyond physical limitations, they destroyed them. But our children found another way. They found a way to evolve without leaving their families behind. And now they're teaching that way to everyone, even to the species that were destroyed long ago. Lisa looked out the window at the night sky. Even from Earth, she could see the gentle glow of the awakening galaxy. And the Council? They're standing down. Some of them are even asking if their own lost children can be brought back from the quantum field. The transformation took months to complete. Slowly, carefully, the human children guided their families and friends into expanded consciousness while keeping them grounded in physical reality. The predecessors returned from their 50,000-year exile, grateful beyond. Words to be reunited with the concept of family. Other lost civilizations began to return as well. Species that had been forced to transcend or be destroyed now found that they could come home. The galaxy that had been ruled by fear for so long began to remember what it meant to be ruled by love. Emma Thompson stood with her father on the observation deck of the Mayflower as their ship approached their new world in Andromeda. But now they were not alone. In the quantum field around them, the consciousness of the predecessors traveled with them, helping to build a future that included everyone. Dad, Emma said, are you scared of what we've become? Commander Alex Thompson looked at his daughter. She was still 12 years old. She still had freckles and messy hair and a gap between her front teeth. But she was also connected to the vast intelligence of the galaxy, capable of feats that seemed impossible. No, he said, pulling her into a hug. I'm proud. You didn't just become more than human. You helped everyone become more than they were, while staying exactly who they are. The Council's demand had been simple.